Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to talk about the next 10 verses of Surah al-Baqarah in the Holy Qur'an. Just going to go through these verses verse by verse and read in English first what the verse is in English, and then go through a bit of a commentary, explain sort of the practical implications of sort of taking on this revelation and implementing it in your life as a Muslim, right? So I'll get started by reading from verse 211 through to 220. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So the first verse 211, Bismillah. Ask the children of Israel how many clear signs we have sent them. But if anyone after God's favor has come to him substitutes something else, God is strict in punishment. So, ask the children of Israel how many signs we have sent them. So they've been sent countless signs after countless signs. And if we are to sort of take on their example and become sort of how they have sort of faced their messengers and their revelation, if we do a similar thing, God is strict in punishment. So he will essentially not favor us if we take on a similar example and reject faith after clear signs have been manifest to us, right? So that's that verse. Now the next verse. The life of this world is alluring to those who reject faith, and they scoff at those who believe. But the righteous will be above them on the day of resurrection, for God bestows his abundance without measure on whom he will. So I guess when it speaks of the life of this world being alluring to those who reject faith, maybe that's sort of speaking about this present life, how its traps and its way about it is alluring. I mean, think about all the things that people want out of this world: money, power, greed, all of these things. There's countless, right? But there's just a few. And essentially the people who reject faith, they mock and laugh at those who believe in God. And it's sort of characteristic of those who are disbelievers, right? So, however, this verse is telling us that the righteous will be above them on the day of resurrection. So on the day of resurrection, the people who believe and have Iman, they will sort of be above these people, and they will be laughing back at them. And for God bestows his abundance without measure on whom he will. So he has favor upon those who believe, right? So that's that verse. Now the next verse. Mankind was one single nation, and God sent messengers with glad tidings and warnings. And with them he sent the book in truth to judge between people in matters wherein they differed. But the people of the book, after clear signs came to them, did not differ among themselves, except through selfish contumacy. God by his grace guided the believers to the truth concerning that wherein they differed, for God guides whom he will to a path that is straight. So this is interesting. This basically speaks of the history of man. Mankind was one nation. And I guess we can think of the broader implications of this, but this essentially means that mankind used to be all one. And basically he sent messenger after messenger after messenger to bring glad tidings and warnings as well. And he sent the book, which we know as the Qur'an, but maybe before the Quran was revealed, this book was in a different way. So that's how I see this. And this book was to judge between people in matters wherein they differed. So sort of a criterion to decide whether people were engaged in rightful conduct or whether they were engaged in wrongdoing. However, the people of the book, after the clear signs came to them, did not differ amongst themselves except through selfish contumacy. So they sort of they differed out of envy or out of pride, that's what this is telling us. However, God by his grace guided the believers to the truth concerning that wherein they differed. So God essentially guided the true believers to the truth of religion, concerning that where they had disagreements. For God guides whom He will to a path that is straight. So, if you have faith, this is a good indication that Allah will have favor upon you, right? So that's that verse. Now the next verse. Or do you think that you shall enter the garden of bliss without such trials as came to those who passed away before you? They encountered suffering and adversity and were so shaken in spirit that even the messenger and those of faith who were with him cried, when will come the help of God? Ah, verily the help of God is always near. So this verse is essentially a reminder that this promise of paradise, it's incumbent on those who believe. However, we can't expect to have it so easy. It's essentially saying that the people before us, they had trials, and we'll have trials too. So, and they were shaken in faith. I mean, basically, they cried, when will come the help of God? They wondered whether God was on their side. However, this verse is an assurance to say that verily the help of God is always near. So no matter what the situation is, no matter how bleak it may seem, never give up in faith, never give up in belief, and always make sincere supplication with the hope that God will answer. Because even when the messenger was with them, I'm guessing this was Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, even when the Prophet himself was with the people of faith, even then they doubted. So how are we years and years and years, over 1,000 years down the track, we don't have a Nabi with us? So how are we to have the same amount of faith when even these people doubted whether God's help would be near? So that's just a bit of perspective to have in a contemporary sense. So that's that verse. Now the next verse. They ask you what they should spend in charity. Say, whatever you spend that is good is for parents and kindred and orphans and those in want and for wayfarers. And whatever you do that is good, God knows it well. So what to spend in charity? It just tells us how we should spend charity. Spend what is good. So spend in a way that is permissible. For parents, kindred, orphans, for those in wants, and for wayfarers. And whatever you do, God will know. So never think that your charity is a waste of time or a waste of effort. Allah knows what your charity is, and essentially it won't go to waste, right? So that's that verse. Now the next verse. Fighting is prescribed for you and you dislike it, but it is possible that you dislike a thing which is good for you, and you love a thing which is bad for you, but God knows and you know not. So, I mean, who wants to fight jihads? I mean, I don't think anyone does, but this is just telling us that this is the reality of what's sort of ordained, and we dislike a thing that might be good for us, and we love a thing which might be bad for us. So this is sort of maybe a general principle for all of the things that we are that we love about this present life, but God has the ultimate wisdom and He knows what is best, right? So that's that verse. Now the next verse. They ask you concerning fighting in the prohibited month. Say, fighting therein is a grave offence, but graver is it's in the sight of God to prevent access to the path of gods, to deny Him, to prevent access to the sacred mosque, and drive out its members. Tumult and oppression are worse than slaughter. Nor will they cease fighting you until they turn you back from your faith if they can. And if any of you turn back from their faith and die in unbelief, their works will bear no fruits in this life and in the hereafter. They will be companions of the fire and will abide therein. So, firstly, this basically tells us what's very plain. Shouldn't really go into any detail here, but don't fight in the prohibited month. However, it's worse to have any access to the haram, sort of prevented. Even if it's in the sacred month, then there's sort of a sort of permission to resist, right? And here, tumults and oppression are worse than slaughter. So basically, this is saying that when people are under oppression, when they are going through injustice, this is worse than killing. And I don't have any understanding of this myself, but I'm sure that a lot of people can sort of understand that it's worse to live in a way where you're oppressed than to actually sort of fight, essentially. So now another part of this verse, they'll never, nor will they cease fighting you until they turn you back from your faith if they can. So this is just a reality of being a Muslim. The people who aren't Muslims, they want us to be like them, and they will resist us as long as they can until we become like them. So I don't mean that it's bad to be like our contemporaries, but this is just a reality of being a Muslim. The people who aren't Muslims, they won't stop fighting you until they make you become a non-Muslim. It's in the Qur'an, right? So, however, this is telling us if we turn back from religion and die in disbelief, we'll essentially be companions of hell. So, don't give up on faith, right? Now, the next verse, those who believed and those who suffered exile and fought and strove and struggled in the path of God, they have the hope and the mercy of God, and God is oft forgiving, most merciful. So this is just a verse telling us that anyone who has believed and fought any kind of struggle in the path of Allah, Allah has mercy on them, right? And He's forgiving and merciful to all those people who struggle in the path of God. And the next verse, they ask you concerning wine and gambling, say in them is great sin and some profit for men, but the sin is greater than the profit. They ask you how much they are to spend, say what is beyond your needs. Thus does God make clear to you His signs in order that you may consider. So this is just telling us a little bit about drinking and gambling. There is a sin in doing these things, and there is some good in them. So we can understand the allure of drinking and gambling, because there is some that's telling us right here there is some good in them. However, the bad outweighs the good, right? So, and then the next part of this verse, they ask you how much they are to spend, say what is beyond your needs. Thus does God make clear to you His signs in order that you may consider. So don't be stingy and don't be miserly with your wealth, right? And the last verse here, their bearings on this life and the hereafter. They ask you concerning orphans. Say the best thing to do is what is for their goods. If you mix their affairs with yours, they are your brethren. But God knows the man who means mischief from the man who means good. And if God had wished, He could have put you into difficulties. He is indeed exalted in power and wise. So, if you mix your affairs with orphans, say if you take orphans into your care or whatever, and you mix your affairs with theirs, they essentially become like your children, right? However, if you do this with ill intent, then God will know what your intentions might be. And I guess this is just a warning. And yeah, He's exalted in power and wise. So He has power over all things, and He knows everything as well. So that's the next 10 verses, and hopefully we're gaining something from this little commentary. It's pretty basic. I'm not claiming to be you know, like the Bo Diggity Qur'an scholar here, but I do think that I have some things to share, and even if it is just encouraging good and forbidding wrong, that's the best I can hope for, and I hope that everyone sort of feels the same when they hear these reminders, that they want to do more good and refrain from more evil. So stay tuned. Not long to go until I finish Baqarah, and then that might be it for now. This sort of is almost the extent of my knowledge of Quran. And I guess as I go on increasing in knowledge, I'll be more forthcoming and sharing more about what I know. So thank you very much, and stay tuned. Cheers.